Yo, what is up, Sex Speech Crazy Rabbit here, and today we're going to be discussing a theory, and the theory is pretty popular. A lot of people think it's true, and I'm going to go ahead and prove why it's not true. So the theory is Misty Dempsey's daughter. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys right now, with a 99.99% certainty, that she is not his daughter. Now, there's always a 0.001% chance that Treyarch is going to fuck up the storyline like they have like already a million times, or they're just going to fucking say, yes, she is his daughter because we said so, and not provide any proof whatsoever. But I'm going to be using the zombie storyline proof to provide information on why Misty is not Dempsey's daughter. So let's go and get the shit started. So Dempsey is around 40, maybe 50, around that time during World War II, because he was also in World War I. So he's got to be kind of old and during World War II. Now, due to numerous quotes, Easter egg progressions, hints around the map, stuff like that, we do know that Dempsey has a 5-year-old daughter around the time of World War II. So let's go ahead and put it in that 1942 is when, Dempsey has his 5-year-old daughter. So, okay, Dempsey has a daughter. Now, right there is when people usually stop and say, that means they're related. Dempsey has a 5-year-old daughter. That means Misty is, because she's a girl, yeah. Let's go ahead and stop right there. So now let's go ahead, figure out when these maps sort of happened, because a lot of people try to say that transit happened in the 1960s. Transit did not happen in the 1960s. The reason for this is because, alright, let's go ahead and start with Dire Eyes. Dire Eyes gives us a lot of information that proves to it that it happened at least after the year 1996, because you can see a lot of posters on the wall, advertising for stuff, around those kind of years. So Dire Eyes hasn't been destroyed since then. So all the years between 1942 and around 1996 and stuff like that, the Earth has not been hit. It's been pretty solid. And a lot of people think that the moon, when it struck the Earth, all those rockets struck the Earth, think it happened in the 1960s. It didn't. I'm gonna prove to you guys why. Okay, so since the Earth has not been hit since 1996, or at least that's probably the latest it could have got hit. It could have been way years after that, and those posters could have just been forever up there, because why else would the Earth get hit, rebuild, and then get hit again without us hearing any word of it? So no, the Earth has only been hit once with rockets, and we know those happen at least after the year, let's go ahead and say 2000, because of all the technology and all the guns we have stuff nowadays. So after 2000, all that time's free for when the Earth gets hit. So now, let's move on to Moon and Nuketown. We do know Moon and Nuketown sort of take place during the same exact time. We do know this from the Easter egg. You can hear when you're in Nuketown, you can hear the Moon Easter egg going on. And Nuketown has not been hit by the rockets from Moon yet. Yes, it has been destroyed. That was probably from a test nuke or maybe a test bomb or whatever. But Nuketown has not been hit by the Moon's rockets. So, you can hear all the background stuff like that. You can hear the Moon Easter egg, Rick Toffin taking power. And probably the biggest piece of information is you can hear Marlton in the bomb shelter in Nuketown. So that means he is at least, he sounds like he does in all the other maps. So it means he has to be around, maybe let's put him around 20, 30 years old. So how many years after Moon did transit happen? My best guess would be it had to have at least been, around 5 years, because Marlton doesn't look that old. He looks, at least in his 20s and 30s, so he doesn't look that old. So maybe 10 years at most, because not a lot of time has really passed between since Marlton was in Nuketown and since when Marlton was in transit, because he doesn't look that old, he doesn't sound different, he looks about the same, he looks about a 20, 30-year-old man, and we do know that the only way he could ever possibly even remotely be close to that bomb, Nuketown, or being close to a nuke or anything, he'd have to at least be above 18, so that means he's around 18, let's put him at 18, 20, give 10 years, maybe 40, unless he likes, he does some really good face cream and stuff like that to make himself look younger, so maybe he's like 40 during transit, so that means transit happened 20 years after. But we do know for a fact that he was at least in there for around 5-10 years. Who really knows how long has passed since Nuketown and transit? But we do know some time has passed due to the fact of Dire Eyes radios, and Maxis and all these other radios and trains and stuff like that. You do know that people have been, getting got hit by nukes and are trying to survive a zombie apocalypse because of all the radios you hear. You can also hear like people were choosing sides, killing each other. So some time has passed between since the Earth was hit by rockets and then transit. So right there, that just proves it that transit happens somewhat in the future, because even if the Earth was hit around 1960, like everyone says, it would have had to have been at least 5 to 10 years. So that would have happened in a lot of people say that the Earth was hit like around 1965. So, pushed 10 years. Misty had been at least in her 30s, but we do know Misty's in her 20s. So it just makes no sense. Dempsey and Misty may be related somehow, maybe like great-great-great-granddaughter, but no way that, in fact, that she is his daughter, because it just doesn't make sense. Okay, and now to give you guys the biggest piece of information is this quote right here.
I remember Daddy's face when the zombies got him. Makes me angry.
in this quote, you can hear Misty say that she watched her father die. She knew who her father looks like. She does say in another quote that she doesn't remember her mother's face, but she did remember watching her father die in front of her. So, I mean, unless Dempsey, right after the events of Moon, found a way to escape the other group that escaped Nikolai, Takeo, and Samantha, and he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to Earth and see my daughter for the first time probably since fucking 1942. It just makes no sense. Why would Dempsey do that? It just, there's a lot of holes in these people's theories, and the only real evidence that they have is that Misty's a girl and Dempsey is a daughter. So there's just no way that Misty can be Dempsey's daughter. They might be related somehow, but I can tell you guys for a fact that Misty is not his daughter, unless Misty was adopted or something, but I'm pretty sure she's not. So guys, I'm sorry, but they're not father-daughter, we're not going to get a father-daughter combo. They might be related somehow, but, that's the best information I can give you. If you guys are, a little puzzled by anything, I'll feel free to try to explain it the best I can. I know zombie storylines are really confusing with time and everything, but just give you guys a brief explanation of it. So we know Dairai, was hit with bombs and all these missiles after 1996. So we do know that the missiles that were launched had to have been during Moon and Nuketown, had to have been after 1996 and maybe 2000, depending on all the other information. So that means the missiles were launched. All the events on Moon and Nuketown happened right after, whatever the latest date on you can figure out from Dairai's is, because we do know Dairai's happened in the future due to the zombie soldiers and all this other stuff. So let's go ahead and put that at 2020, 2025, around there. So that's when the missiles were launched. We do know that Marlton was in the bomb shelter in Nuketown, and that he escaped to go to help the group on transit. So that means Marlton couldn't have been that old, or else he would have looked a lot older in transit. So boom, right there, there's your proof right there. Short little version right there, but that's the best I can do for you explaining it. So if you guys could, please leave a like and subscribe already. Peace.